Well, I've just finished shopping for everything I'm going to need to prepare my delicious deli delights, which are reminiscent of classic foods often found in your local delicatessen. So please join me.
Jazzy, you're gonna be healthy with the Jazzy vegetarian. Jazzy, so snazzy. We're gonna cook something healthy and light. Jazzy, so snazzy.
So join me in the kitchen right now.
We're gonna cook something healthy and light. That's right.
We're going to begin with my fabulous Eggless Egg Salad. Then I'm going to bake my oh-so-delicious upside-down apple cake. And then up next, my jazzy vegetarian take on the classic Reuben Sandwich. I'm going to pair that with my Zesty Zucchini Oven Fries. We're going to have that today instead of French fries. And how could any delicatessen be complete without chopped liver? My vegetarian version is quick and easy, and it tastes like the real thing. Let's prepare it now. When I was growing up in University Heights, Ohio, I loved to go to my neighborhood delicatessens. So I've developed my vegetarian versions of those classic dishes, and I'm so excited to share these with you today. What do I use for Eggless Egg Salad? The first thing we're going to use is firm tofu. Make sure to get the organic variety. And what I've done is I've taken the tofu out and just press it down and then leave it in your colander for about 15 minutes, and you're ready to make your eggless egg salad out of that. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, how the heck is she going to make eggless egg salad look anything or taste anything like egg salad out of that block of white stuff? Well, to start off, my mom always started with a rib of celery. And we're just going to finely chop that rib of celery. And then she always added a carrot. I think a carrot adds color, it adds taste. This is so colorful. Now we're going to set all that aside. Today I have some nice fresh basil that I picked from my garden, and I also have a little bit of fresh parsley. And if you don't have fresh herbs, you just use some dried parsley. All right, so let me set this aside, bring over my bowl. And we're going to put in all these fabulous veggies to start off. That smells so good. Set that aside. And then we're just going to place in the tofu like that. And what I like to do is use my potato masher. Mash it up. See how it's looking? Like you're mashing up eggs, basically. Ooh, goodness, got carrots flying everywhere. Very quick. We're going to start off with about 2 tablespoons of vegan mayonnaise and then a very good Dijon mustard. We're going to start off with about a tablespoon of that. Then I'm going to also add in about a teaspoon of Italian herbs. And then I'm going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, some nice freshly ground pepper. And then here's the kicker. It's turmeric. Turmeric is touted as being a very, very healthy spice. I'm going to start off with 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Now, just take a fork, mix that all around. We're going to mix up this eggless egg salad. Here we go. That looks perfect. Now look how beautiful that looks. I'm just going to transfer it to a smaller bowl. And then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and let it chill for about an hour or 2. There's my traditional eggless egg salad. And let's get on to my, I can't wait for this one, my upside down apple cake. Oh, so tasty. I made this cake when my husband and I went to the local apple orchards a few summers ago. And this is a great way to use those local apples. Of course, we always try to shop locally when we can. And we always try to shop organic for apples. And these are organic apples that I have here today. And what I'm starting here is the upside down part of my upside down apple cake, which is going to go on the bottom of the pan. And I'm using 3 medium-sized apples. And then you're just going to slice it into thin slices. I'm going to add that to the rest of them. I'm going to put my pan on medium heat. So I start off with 2 tablespoons of my vegan margarine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that melt just like that. Because we're kind of going to make a vegan caramel sauce. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of brown sugar to my vegan margarine. Mix it all together. Then at this point, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. See how nice and brown this is all getting? As soon as you hit that, turn your heat off. Now I'm going to put in my beautiful organic apples. Just toss them around. We're not going to cook them now. The heat is off. And we are going to let them kind of soak in this delicious caramel sauce while I get the rest of the recipe together. The first thing you're going to do is take an 8x8 little cake pan like this and just grease it out with a little bit of your vegan margarine. And then what I do is I add a piece of unbleached parchment paper. The parchment paper is going to keep the apples from sticking to the bottom of the pan. So this is the exciting part. All these apples are together and beautifully caramely looking. And our first step with our upside down apple cake is to place our apples in the bottom of the pan. Very simple. I usually use a scraper like this so I get out every last delicious drop. And then you can see, just toss them in there a little bit to make sure they're all beautifully covered with that caramel sauce. A lot of that caramel sauce is going to run to the very bottom. What's that going to do while it's cooking? It's going to caramelize and get like a candy, and it's going to make a little candied top to this cake. So let me just set that aside. In this recipe for the egg, I used mashed bananas. Works really well as a great taste without tasting banana-y. And the bananas are going to help to bind this recipe together. This is so simple. Just take your masher, start mashing, and then you're just going to mash it up like that. See how creamy looking it gets at that point. Then I put my masher aside. I might use that a little bit later. And then we're going to whip it with our fork. Now, while you're doing this, you want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. So that is just fine. Now, I'm going to set that aside. Now we're going to put together our dry ingredients. We're going to start with 1 cup of organic pastry flour. Kind of level it off. Just dump that in there. Set that aside. And then we're going to use 1 cup of organic whole wheat flour is what I'm using today. We'll set all that aside. And then 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure to use only the non-aluminum type of baking powder, which is really easy to find in any supermarket. There we go with that. Set that aside. I use a 1/2 teaspoon of salt in this. So let me grab my whisk. And I whisk it all together, and that incorporates these dry ingredients very nicely. It works out just perfectly for this beautiful, beautiful cake. You're going to see how it all turns out so delicious at the end. Now let me grab my spoon, and we're going to incorporate some of the wetter ingredients, which are 1 diced organic apple. I have peeled it, and that's going to be little apple pieces inside our apple cake, of course. And then today I'm using 1/2 cup of organic raisins. They really add a fabulous sweetness to this recipe. Next up, our sugar. I'm going to use 1/2 cup of my organic brown sugar. There we are. Set that aside. And then I'm just going to use my wooden spoon to incorporate all of these ingredients at this point. Now to add our wet ingredients, I'm going to add 1 cup of vanilla soy milk. I like to use the vanilla soy milk. It gives a little vanilla-y taste. And then 1/4 cup of olive oil. I like olive oil in this recipe. It gives it kind of a rich taste, but you can also use vegetable oil. Coming together beautifully. Now for our beautiful mashed bananas. This is going to be a very thick batter, as you can see. This is absolutely the perfect consistency for this cake. Now, only stir it until it's incorporated. Here we are with our pan. All you do is drop this beautiful batter right on the top. I wish you could smell this. I know everybody in the studio is smelling this and can't wait. My mouth is actually watering. This is such a delicious cake. I put that aside. There we go. And as you can see, this fills up my 8x8 pan just beautifully. Kind of smooth it out. There you have it. Ready to pop in the oven. 50 to 55 minutes in a 375-degree oven. And up next, my fabulous Reuben. This is my mother's recipe. When I went to make this sandwich for her a few months ago, she said, why don't you make the dressing the way I used to make it? I'm going to start off by using 1 tablespoon of your pickle relish. And then we're going to use 3 tablespoons of vegan mayo. I regularly use vegan mayonnaise in any recipe that calls for mayonnaise, such as pasta or potato salad or homemade dips and salad dressings. Of course, today I've used the sauce for our fabulous Reuben sandwich. Now, this egg and dairy-free mayonnaise-style spread is often soy, grapeseed, or canola oil based. Try several brands so you can discover the one that you like best. Now, you're going to find it in health food stores and many supermarkets, where it's often displayed in either the refrigerated section or in your condiment aisle. I use 3 heaping tablespoons of the vegan mayo in this today. And then 1 tablespoon of organic ketchup. Organic ketchup is so much easier to find in your market these days. Now, this was the thing that my mother turned me on to. She used to use 2 teaspoons of scallions. See how finely minced they are? Just take the little white part, a little bit of the green part, put it all together in a dish, and pretty soon it's going to turn pink. There we go. That beautiful pink color that's associated with a traditional Thousand Island dressing. Now we're going to put our Reuben together. I can't wait to show you this. Here is the center of our Deli Delights menu. This is so delicious. To make it authentic, I go to my deli and I get some beautifully baked rye bread. Really makes a difference in this dish. So this is like the biggest bread I've ever seen. I'm going to use some vegan Canadian bacon, that's meatless meat, and also some vegan cheese. I've got some fantastic organic sauerkraut, which I've drained very, very well. That's really important in this sandwich. And then we have our beautiful Thousand Island dressing that we put together a few minutes ago. I'm going to start by making my pan a medium heat. Now, what I like to do is I like to start with slices of my vegan meat. This sandwich is definitely going to be big enough for 2 people. I've got a big hungry crew here today, so they're going to enjoy that. Now I'm going to heap on this beautiful organic sauerkraut. And if you're like me, you love the sauerkraut, that's what really makes it taste Reuben-y. Delicious. Now, just put that over the top of your sandwich, because that's what's truly going to give you that completely authentic taste. Put that top on. Now, here is the trick. Woo! You want to use either a sandwich press, or what I've used is a pan lid, a stainless steel pan lid. You see that? Now, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to press this down. What's this going to do? Why am I doing this, do you ask? It's going to make it so the bottom of the sandwich really has a flat contact with the pan, and that's what's going to brown it and make it nice and crispy. So I'm really going to turn this down to like a medium-low heat. There we go. We just got to wait for it to cook now. While the Reuben is cooking, I want to flip over my beautiful upside-down apple cake. At least I hope it's going to be beautiful, because I've made this so many times, but this is always the time when I hold my breath. I've taken it out of the oven. Oh, you can let it cool for anywhere between 10 minutes to an hour before you flip it over. And we'll see if it comes out. Sometimes it's not perfect, but let's hope today it is. Wow. Look how gorgeous it is. Let's take the parchment off. Isn't that beautiful? All caramelized on the top. What a beautiful beautiful cake. And what I do to make it look absolutely stupendous is I take a little bit of my ground cinnamon and then just put that right over the top of the cake. I like to put it on top of a pretty cake pedestal, and there we have it. I'm going to set this aside, and it's time to get the Reuben out of the pan. I'm going to take that and put it in the kitchen. You see, I've turned it over, and look how brown and crispy that is. That's from this simple top. You don't need a sandwich press that I just kept down, and I kept pressing as it was cooking. And I'm just going to press it one more time. I've flipped it over. This is one of my husband's favorite things that I make him. I think he'd have these every single week if I'd make them for him all the time. There we go. Oh my gosh. If you could smell this, it's absolutely fabulous. Oh, this is delicious. Just delicious. And everything has melted together, and we're going to let it sit for about 3 or 4 minutes before we cut it, because as it becomes cool, it's going to kind of meld itself together. Oh boy. The cheese is oozing out. That beautiful dressing, that pink dressing. I'm just going to give you a look at that. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that beautiful? An authentic Reuben. We're going to make some zesty oven zucchini fries. So we're going to start with 3 zucchini. I've already sliced up 2 of them. And this is very easy. We're just going to slice them into little fry shape. See, like that. That's all we're doing. Into kind of little matchstick fry shapes, kind of like the fries you would get in a deli. You get the picture. That's all there is to it. Beautiful. Let me set my cutting board aside. And then we're going to dress them up with about a tablespoon of olive oil. That's all the fat we're going to put into these fries. That's it. And to make them zesty zucchini fries, I add chili powder. Probably about a half teaspoon or so. We're going to sprinkle a little sea salt over them. Then we're going to get our hands right in there. And look how that chili powder is covering everything up. They look very appetizing already. And we're going to just place them right onto our cookie sheet. And you basically want to try to put them into one layer, but you don't have to be too careful about it. We're going to put them in a 425-degree oven for about anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes until they get kind of crispy and browned on the outside. So let me put them in the oven now. Next up, what delicatessen is complete without chopped liver? And here's my vegan chopped liver. And the first thing we're going to do is just turn on our saute pan, put a little bit of olive oil in there, turn it on a medium heat, and then what I have done is I have chopped 3 medium onions. I like the sweet Vidalia onions. So toss those in there. Cover them up, and we're going to let them cook. Just watch them for about 15 to 20 minutes until they become brown. Now, this is a traditional recipe that was taught to me by my mother-in-law. And you can also use green beans with this, but today I'm using sweet peas. My chopped onions have been sautéed and browned, and they've cooled down somewhat. So I'm going to put them right into my blender. Those look great. Next thing we're going to add is 2 tablespoons of organic tomato paste. The next thing we're going to use is 3/4 of a cup of chopped walnuts. Toss them right in there. Now, in my mother-in-law's traditional recipe, she uses a hard-cooked egg. And I thought, and then I realized, of course, I'm going to use a little bit of tofu. About a 1/4 block of firm tofu takes the place of the egg and holds everything together nicely. Then we've got 1 can of sweet peas. We're going to dump those right in there. This is why it's so much easier than using the green beans. If you do the green beans, you do want to cook them or steam them or saute them first. A little bit of pepper for fresh ground pepper, of course, and a little bit of sea salt. I use about 1/4 teaspoon. That is it. We're going to get our blender going. Here we go. All right, that looks pretty good. It's a perfect pâté. It's perfect for a salad. It's great for a dip. And the way I like to serve it is with a few cocktail crackers on the side or some beautiful veggies. So as you put that in your refrigerator, it is going to firm up. That's what I'm going to do right now, and then I'm going to plate everything up for you. Wow, what would a traditional deli menu be without an egg salad? This is my eggless egg salad, and it's served up deli style with the cucumbers and the tomatoes and everything. Doesn't that look absolutely appetizing? And my gorgeous apple cake. I'm just going to cut a little piece off. Look at how pretty that is in the center. The raisins popping through and that nice crisp crust. Can't wait to taste it. So moist on the top with those apples. So delicious. You can't miss out on that one. That beautiful Reuben. I'm going to take a big bite. That is delicious. The Thousand Island dressing. The tanginess of the sauerkraut. And it's so crispy on the outside. I want to thank you for joining me today. And the next time you crave deli dishes, perhaps one of the delightful recipes from today's show will inspire. Until next time, be well. Thank you for joining me.
Visit our website at jazzyvegetarian.com to connect with Laura, see videos, find your favorite recipes, and more. Follow Laura on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Jazzy Vegetarian, lively vegan cuisine that's easy and delicious, includes all the recipes from this season and is available for $26.95. This 10th anniversary edition companion cookbook features full-color photos, menu plans, and over 120 recipes. For information or to order, visit jazzyvegetarian.com.